Hey everyone, my name is Jeff Koss. I am a student at the University of Advancing Technology. This is my final assignment for a program called MySql 211. And what I had to do with this is I had to make a database for a video game company and populate it with tables and information in those tables that related to each other. So here's my diagram right here. This is called an EER diagram, and it basically tells you the table. So you have your table right here. For instance, this is projects, and then you have all of the things that are in your table. You have primary keys, foreign keys, and you have columns. Well, they're all columns, but each thing does something different. A primary key is unique to that table. Basically, it's something like, for instance, a project ID number, and it's going to be unique to that table, and nobody else really going to have it. So the next thing that you're going to have in your table is a foreign key, and that's an element that's shared between two tables. So usually you have a one-to-many relationship, and that's basically right here where you see that line. The two lines on the end mean one, and then the ones that branch off mean many. And then you have your regular columns. The thing about foreign keys is that they're shared with something else. So you can have a primary key in one table and have a foreign key in another table that uses the primary key from the first table. For instance, you'll see up in here in employees that there is an employee ID number, right? Okay. And in projects, there is an employee ID number, but it is a foreign key. So the foreign key to the employee table is in the projects table, and it is called employee ID. All right, let me show you how this works. Sounds a little confusing, I know, but trust me, at the end of this, you'll understand it. So let's take a look at some of these. I have about 5 or 6 tables. We'll go with the employee one first. So here's my employee table, and we have an employee ID, a first name, a last name, an employee type, and a pay type. And then it's populated with about 20 or so employees of various backgrounds. And employee ID is the primary key for this one. And employee type is going to be your foreign key because it relates to another table, but we use it in here. So the thing about primary keys and foreign keys is it's basically a hierarchy type of situation here. In order for it to work, and I found this out because I made a lot of mistakes doing this, is you have to populate your columns by order that they work. So in other words, if this is a child, if employee type is a child from another table, and the parent in that table is like the foreign key, you got to fill out the foreign key of that table first, so it will register down the line for the foreign key. So primary keys take precedence over foreign keys, I guess you want to say, or the information is hierarchy based. All right, so now we know that. And like I said, I've got about 5 or 6 different tables here. And they all do different things. They all work. You know, this is a table that has your pay type, your pay amount, and your pay schedule. This one here, this is going to tell you your employee types. It's the artist, the game tester. It tells you a little bit about their job description and their pay type. So the pay type is going to be a foreign key to employee pay, because employee pay has a pay type, and that is its primary key. With this, I use primary keys And then I basically use those primary keys to introduce foreign keys to other tables. Does that make sense? All right, let's move on. All right, so the next thing we did is we got into programming a little bit. And I've got two views. And basically what a view is, well, in MySql, it's kind of like a read-only type of file. So I have this one that's called employee name. And we'll take a look at it just to show you how it's created. Use the create keyword. This stuff was actually put in by MySql, so don't tell anybody about that. We won't get into this too much, but the next thing you want to do is declare what you're trying to do, and you're going to make a view. So view, and you're going to give it a name. Employee name is what I gave it. And you notice these two little ticks, those are back ticks, and it works just like a quotation mark, you know, when you're naming something, but MySql uses back ticks. Yay. All right, so and then we use the select keyword, and that's basically going to tell the program where we're going to find the stuff at. So we're going to get stuff from the employees table, and we're going to get first name and and then it's going to basically give it kind of like a nickname from employees, and then we give it an order. And what an order does is exactly what it says. It's going to put it in order the way you want it. So I want the employee's name first, or the employee's last name first, then first name, and then so on. So if we take a look and we run it, boom. Oh, I'm sorry. I put the first name first and then the last name for this one. Okay, it's been a long day, so bear with me. So yeah, so it works. Trust me on this, it works. And here's the result. It gives all of the names right here. All right, so we're good. So the other one I have is called game stuff. And just like the first one, we use create, and we declare a view, we name it game stuff, and then select. We put in the information that we want to get, from where we want to get it, and then we order it by how we want to order it. And the result is this. Bam. So I have the game name and game genre, and it worked out really good. To call, or I'm sorry, you don't call a view. You basically select it. And it's just kind of like, how can I put this? I'm going to have to use another language as an example. So C++ has storage containers like vectors and arrays and stuff like that. It's kind of like that, but you can only read from it in MySql. Now, on the other programs, you probably can do other things with it, but this is introductory stuff, so it's good, and I'm happy to know it, so it works for me. All right, so the next thing we're gonna get to is stored procedures. Stored procedures now are a little bit different. I'll show you. So with the stored procedure, never mind about this create definer. That's something that SQL put in there. But we start with begin, and then we select, and we tell it what we want to do. We want a first name, a last name, and an employee description. Where are we going to get that from? From game company is the schema. I forgot to tell you that schema is the word we use to tell you that it's a complete database, basically. So, and in that schema you have your tables, and so we're selecting from employee, and that I know it's going to be it's going to be cut off a little bit. I'm sorry about that, but after that is an alias type of name, kind of a nickname. You can give these things nicknames, so when you go back to referencing them, you can make it easier. And then we have a join here. We take the employee type and we join it on another thing, employee description, and then we order it. And of course, order again means what comes first, what comes second, what comes third in the table, and then you end it. So yeah, it works. Let's see this in action. Okay, so this one, first name Jeff, last name Cause, employee description owner. So the join worked, and it worked good. I very simple. Right down to the point. Here's the difference between a view and a stored procedure, though. Executing it, you don't select a stored procedure. You call a stored procedure. So we call the name of the stored procedure. All right, kind of like a function in like maybe C++ or something like that. Which actually brings me to my next topic, functions. So I got two functions here, add game and who works there. So if you take a look, there are a couple of things that we do in this read SQL data. Deterministic means basically, is it randomized or not? Is this something that is going to be determined, or is it something that's not? Begin, and I basically just return the game name. Unfortunately, there's a lot more to it than that. So this create definer, like I said, it's something that SQL puts in there. But you start off with, naming it a function, and then you give it a name, and then you give it the data structure that you want. So I have a thing called game name, and it's got a 45 character variable character in it, which means I can put 45 characters in it, so I can type 45 letters in it, and it works. And then it's going to return a variable character. And yeah, now here's the thing with a function, it has to have a return, some type of value, whether it be an integer or a string or anything like that. Like a function should work in other computer programs, and MySqL is no different. So when we execute this is kind of neat. I like this. So it actually asks you what you want to put in. So we're going to give it a name, so you can actually input stuff this way. So we'll give it a name. We'll call it, we'll just call it my game. And now you add in my game to the game company, to the database. It's pretty simple. So I have another one here, who works, and it's the same thing basically, but we are going to add more than one name. So as you can see, first name we're going to say Sal Rosenberg. Okay, now it's just a cool name. Don't sue me because it's not from the Jerky Boys or anything like that. So execute. There you go. It works. So it's amazing, isn't it? I'm impressed. Wow. Okay, so we went through all of that. We did the joins. We did the database. I showed you everything works. There's really not much more that I can show you with this presentation, so I'm going to conclude it by saying this. MySql is a great starting platform, okay? And it has some really unique features. Now, you can get this done with MySql. You can get it done by using its interface. Okay, it's got a good interface, but that doesn't mean that it's not without its problems. Now, for certain circumstances beyond my control, it seems that when I add data, sorry about that. Anyway, we'll keep going. When you add data, you have to do it one at a time and then update it. Otherwise, for some reason, it gets bogged down and it doesn't do it right. There's always an error. That's only when using the graphical user interface. But if I were to type it in, it works just fine. So my advice to you is basically use it for what it is. It's a great tool, but don't let it rule your life by trying to make it easier. Always do your programming with this because you're going to go a lot farther with it. So as an introductory type of, for a good way to get into, SQL language or SQL language, yeah, it's great. Is it my first choice? It's hard to say. I'm new to this, but if I'm going to take a stab in the dark, I'm hardly going to say no. I'm probably going to say that, you know, there's probably other ones out there that have been around for a while that might have a little bit more features to it. So in that, I thank you guys very much, and I really enjoyed this class, and I hope that I continue to learn from it. So you guys all have a great day. Bye-bye.